When Barron Trump asked his father, Donald Trump, for a special Christmas gift, no one could have predicted the outcome. All Barron wanted for Christmas was to be Batman for one day. But what started as a simple wish for adventure turned into an unforgettable night of heroism. With the help of his father's good friend, Elon Musk, Barron is about to get the real Batman experience, suit, vehicle, and all. Little did he know, his night of being a hero would take an unexpected turn, putting him in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. It was Christmas Eve at the Trump residence, and the festive decorations were shining brightly, casting a warm glow in the room. The fire crackled softly in the background, filling the space with the scent of burning wood. Barron Trump, sitting by the fireplace with his parents, couldn't help but feel excited for what was to come. The holiday season always held a special place in his heart, but this year, there was something he wanted more than anything else. He turned to his father, Donald Trump, with a determined look in his eyes. "Dad, I have one special Christmas wish. I've thought about it for a while, and I'm sure about it now. I want to become Batman, just for one day." Donald Trump, raising an eyebrow, stared at his son for a moment. His eyes glimmered with amusement, but he also knew Barron was serious. "You want to be Batman? For Christmas?" Barron nodded, his excitement growing. "Yeah, I've always admired Batman. He's a hero. He doesn't have superpowers, but he still saves people and makes the world better. I want to know what it feels like to be someone like him." Donald smiled warmly, proud of Barron's desire to do good in the world, even at such a young age. "Well, son, if that's what you want, I'll make sure it happens." Barron's eyes lit up. "You mean it?" "Of course," Donald said, a playful glint in his eyes. "You want to be Batman? Then we'll get you the best Batman suit and everything you need to be the hero of the night. But," he added, "you'll have to promise me one thing." Barron leaned in, curious. "What's that?" "You have to make sure you use your powers for good, just like Batman does. No shortcuts." Barron nodded eagerly, his mind racing with the possibilities. "I promise, Dad." The next day, Christmas morning, Barron woke up to find something incredible waiting for him. Under the tree sat a sleek, black package, just big enough to hold something truly special. As Barron eagerly ripped off the wrapping paper, his heart skipped a beat. Inside was the iconic black Batman suit, perfectly tailored, with all the gadgets and gear one could ever imagine. Alongside it was a small, futuristic vehicle, the Batmobile, straight out of a high-tech dream. Barron's jaw dropped. This is real," he whispered to himself. Donald, standing nearby, with a grin on his face, nodded. "I made a call to a good friend of mine, Elon Musk. He helped get everything ready. The suit, the Batmobile, even some extra tech you won't find in any store. You're not just going to play Batman today. You're going to live it." Barron could hardly believe it. His Christmas wish had just come true in the most unbelievable way. He quickly ran to the bathroom to change, and when he emerged dressed as the Dark Knight himself, he couldn't help but feel invincible. The suit fit perfectly, and the Batmobile was even better than he had imagined. He was no longer just Barron Trump, he was Batman. As night fell, Barron knew it was time to head out. He slipped into the Batmobile, the engine roaring to life as he hit the streets of the city. The night air was cold, but Barron didn't notice. His heart was racing with excitement as he drove through the quiet neighborhoods, his mind buzzing with what could be the first night of his superhero journey. He hadn't planned on anything specific, but he knew that if he saw someone in need, he'd do whatever it took to help. He cruised through the streets, marveling at the sleekness of the Batmobile, the sound of the engine almost humming with power beneath him. The city lights reflected off the polished black surface of the vehicle, casting a cool glow on the road ahead. It felt like everything was in perfect sync, his heart, the car, the night. Then, out of nowhere, the sound of shouting broke the silence. Barron's eyes narrowed, and he veered the Batmobile toward the commotion. As he drew closer, he saw a group of men standing in a circle around a young woman, shouting hateful words and pushing her around. They were clearly harassing her, their faces twisted in anger and disdain. Barron didn't hesitate. He slammed the brakes, stopping the Batmobile just short of the group. He jumped out of the car, his cape fluttering behind him, and walked toward the men with a determined expression on his face. "Hey!" he shouted, his voice booming in the still night. The men turned, startled by the sudden appearance of the mysterious figure in the black suit. One of them scoffed. "Who the hell are you supposed to be?" "I'm Batman," Barron said calmly, his voice low and steady. The men laughed, clearly not taking him seriously. "Batman? Yeah, right. You're just a kid in a suit." But Barron wasn't fazed. Without another word, he lunged forward, taking the first man by surprise. His fists flew, faster than any of them expected. One by one, he knocked them down, his training kicking in as if he had been doing this for years. The woman watched in awe as the scene unfolded before her eyes. She couldn't believe what she was seeing, a young man dressed as Batman, fighting off a group of bullies. It wasn't long before the men realized they were outmatched. They scrambled to their feet and fled, leaving the woman behind, safe from harm. Breathing heavily, Barron turned to the woman. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice softening. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Thank you. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't shown up." Barron gave her a small, reassuring smile. "It's okay. I'm just doing what Batman would do." As Barron stood there, watching the woman leave with a grateful look, something unexpected happened. From the shadows, a figure emerged, an older man, holding a camera in his hand. He had witnessed the entire encounter from a distance, snapping photos of Barron without his mask. The man was a journalist, and in that moment, he had captured the most unexpected image of his career. Barron Trump, dressed as Batman, had saved the day. But the twist was the journalist had unknowingly captured Barron's face beneath the mask, his identity revealed to the world. The next morning, news outlets around the world were ablaze with headlines. "Is Barron Trump the new Batman?" "Trump's son seen in full Batman suit, saving a woman." Social media exploded with theories and memes, and the world was left in a frenzy. Could Barron Trump really be the real-life Batman? The photos were everywhere, his face, his suit, the Batmobile. Even though Barron didn't realize it yet, he had just become the center of a media storm. The world was buzzing, wondering if the young Trump was secretly the real Batman, and what that meant for the future. The media wasn't the only one to catch wind of the story. Soon, Barron's phone rang with a call from none other than his father. "Barron," Donald's voice crackled through the line, "I saw the news. I had no idea you'd be making headlines like this. You did good, son. You really did." Barron chuckled, still processing everything that had happened. "Yeah, Dad, I didn't expect all this." That's the thing about being a hero, Barron. You never know how far your actions will go. As the day went on, Barron found himself overwhelmed with the media attention. His phone was ringing nonstop with reporters trying to get a statement. He wasn't prepared for any of this, and yet there he was, suddenly the most talked about person in America. He had never imagined that his simple Christmas wish to be Batman for one day would turn into a global sensation. But Barron was still unsure of how to handle the situation. He didn't feel like he deserved the praise. Sure, he had saved a woman from a group of bullies, but the reality was he wasn't a real hero like the ones in the comics. He was just a kid who got a suit for Christmas. Later that evening, as Barron sat in his room, his phone buzzed again. This time, it was a video call from none other than Elon Musk himself. Barron answered, and the screen lit up with Elon's familiar face, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Hey, Barron, how's my favorite Batman doing?" Elon greeted with a smile. Barron couldn't help but smile back, relieved to hear a friendly voice. I guess I'm okay, but I didn't expect all this. It's kind of crazy. Elon leaned back in his chair, his hands folded in front of him. Well, you didn't just save a woman, Barron. You became something bigger than yourself. You became a symbol. People are looking at you now, and they see hope, something they can believe in. Barron furrowed his brow. But I'm not Batman. I don't know what I'm doing. I just put on a suit and fought some guys. Exactly. You did it. You stepped up when it counted. And now, people believe in you. You're a hero, whether you realize it or not. Barron didn't know how to respond. The weight of Elon's words sunk in. It was true, he had become something more than just a kid on Christmas night. He had become a beacon of hope in a world that so desperately needed it. The next day, as Barron stepped outside, he noticed the crowds gathered on the streets. News trucks were parked outside his house. Reporters were setting up cameras, and everyone seemed to be eagerly awaiting the next move of their new Batman. Barron wasn't sure how to feel about all of this attention. On one hand, it was flattering. But on the other, he couldn't shake the feeling that he hadn't done anything extraordinary. All he had done was stand up for what was right, just like anyone would. But still, the world saw him as something bigger. The attention didn't stop there. That afternoon, Barron received another call, this time from a famous Hollywood director who had seen the images of him as Batman and wanted to discuss a film deal. Barron's mind was reeling. A movie? About him? As Barron listened to the director talk about turning his story into a blockbuster film, he couldn't help but feel like he was living in some alternate reality. How had his one simple wish turned into all this? Meanwhile, back in the Trump residence, Donald Trump was speaking to his advisors, discussing how to handle the media frenzy. Everyone wants a piece of Barron now, Donald said, his voice firm. We've got to control this. He's the new symbol of hope. We can't let that image get distorted. One of his advisors, a seasoned media strategist, nodded in agreement. Absolutely, Mr. Trump. This could work in your favor. We need to ensure that Barron stays on message. His actions are what people care about, not the celebrity angle. Donald looked thoughtful for a moment before responding. Right. Barron didn't ask for this, but he's got a responsibility now. It's bigger than all of us. Back in Barron's room, he was looking at the photos of himself dressed as Batman. The images splashed across every news channel and social media platform. His face had become synonymous with the superhero, something he never expected. Barron sighed, staring at the pictures. I never thought it would go this far, he muttered to himself. I just wanted to help someone. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw something that made his heart stop. A new headline flashed across the screen of his phone. Is Barron Trump the real-life Batman? Barron blinked, his mind racing. Was he really being seen as the real Batman? Could this all be happening? He leaned back in his chair, trying to wrap his head around the whirlwind of events that had unfolded. A simple Christmas wish, and now he was the subject of international headlines, the talk of the town, and the world's new Batman. But deep down, Barron knew he couldn't do this alone. He wasn't ready to be the symbol everyone thought he was. He was still just a kid learning what it meant to be a hero. Later that night, Barron decided to take a break from the chaos. He put on the Batman suit one last time for a walk around the neighborhood, hoping to clear his head. As he walked, he thought about everything Elon had said. Maybe he didn't have to be perfect. Maybe, like Batman, all he needed to do was the right thing when it mattered. As he walked through the empty streets, Barron heard a voice behind him. Hey, Batman. He turned, surprised to see a young boy standing at the edge of the sidewalk, his eyes wide with admiration. You're the real Batman, right? I saw you on TV. You saved that lady. That was awesome. Barron smiled, kneeling down to the boy's level. Well, I'm not really Batman, he said, his voice soft and reassuring. I just did what I thought was right. The boy's face lit up. But you're still a hero to me. Barron felt something shift inside him. Maybe he wasn't a superhero in the traditional sense, but to that boy, he was. And in that moment, Barron realized that maybe that was enough. He stood up, looking at the boy one last time before walking away. The weight of the world might have been on his shoulders, but Barron felt something lighter inside him, a sense of purpose. He wasn't just Barron Trump. He was someone who could make a difference, no matter how small. As Barron continued down the street, the sound of sirens and flashing lights seemed to fade into the distance. For the first time in days, he felt at peace with the idea that maybe he was ready to be the hero the world needed. The next day, Barron's life took another unexpected turn. News about his actions as the real-life Batman had spread even further, and Barron found himself sitting down for a formal interview with a prominent news network. His parents were in the room with him, offering support, but Barron couldn't shake the feeling that the whole world was watching his every move. The interviewer, a calm and composed woman, sat across from him. "Barron," she began, "you've become a symbol of hope and courage in a time when the world desperately needs it. But you didn't set out to be a hero. You simply wanted to do the right thing. What does that mean to you?" Barron thought for a moment before responding. "I didn't expect any of this. I just wanted to help someone. It wasn't about being famous or having people look up to me. It was just about doing what's right. I think that's what makes a hero. Someone who steps up when they see something wrong, no matter who's watching." The interviewer smiled warmly. "And what do you say to those who believe that you've become the real Batman?" Barron's smile was small, but sincere. "I'm not Batman. I'm just Barron. But if wearing this suit means I can make a difference, then maybe that's enough. Maybe everyone can be a hero in their own way, even if it's just standing up for what's right." The interview ended with a standing ovation from the studio audience, and as Barron walked off the stage, he could feel the weight of the moment settling into his bones. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about the message he represented. That anyone, no matter their age or background, could do something good for the world. That evening, Barron sat on the roof of his house, looking out at the city below. The lights sparkled in the distance, and for the first time in days, he felt like he had control of his life again. His phone buzzed with another message, and Barron picked it up to see a message from none other than Elon Musk. "Hey, Barron, I just wanted to check in. How's the superhero life treating you?" the message read. Barron laughed softly to himself and typed a response. "It's a lot more than I expected, but I think I'm starting to understand it." Elon replied almost immediately, "Good. You're making a real impact. Just remember, being a hero isn't about the cape or the suit. It's about doing the right thing. Keep doing that and you'll be just fine." Barron set his phone down, looking out at the city one more time. The stars were bright above him, and for the first time, he felt like he truly belonged. The next day, Barron's family held a quiet celebration for Christmas. It was a simple dinner, but there was something different in the air. Barron's family was proud of him, not just for his actions, but for the person he was becoming. As they sat around the table, Barron's father, Donald Trump, looked at him with a mixture of admiration and pride. "You did something incredible, Barron. You didn't just wear a suit. You became something more. You showed the world that heroes come in all shapes and sizes." Barron smiled, but he didn't feel like he had to say anything in return. He knew the truth now. He was just Barron, but that was enough. As they ate, Barron's mother leaned over to him. "I'm proud of you, son. You've shown the world that kindness and bravery can make a difference." "I couldn't be prouder." Barron looked around at his family, feeling the love and support from every corner. Maybe he hadn't asked for all this attention, but in that moment, he realized that this journey had shaped him into someone capable of more than he ever thought possible. And for the first time, Barron knew that being a hero didn't require superpowers or a fancy suit. It just took a willingness to do what's right when it mattered most. That night, as Barron looked in the mirror, he saw something different. He wasn't just a boy who had wished to be Batman for one day. He was someone who had stepped up when needed, someone who had shown the world that even the smallest acts of bravery could make a difference. And with that, Barron Trump knew that his Christmas wish had turned into something far more powerful than he could have ever imagined. It wasn't about becoming Batman. It was about becoming the best version of himself.